All right, welcome everybody to the Round Table, episode number 13. Thanks for joining us. Just giving you a little heads up. What is the Round Table about and what are we doing? Round Table is an opportunity to catch up on life, things that are going on in the world, get a perspective on Scripture that we can then apply to our everyday life. So if you come on a Sunday morning here to Life Church, you'll hear a message, or if you're online watching, you'll hear a message. We talk a little bit deeper about it in the round table and try to figure out how to apply it to life. And we have our guest, our co-host. She's not a guest anymore.
No.
Co-host.
No, yes.
Jenny, the superstar.
How dare you?
Walker, I know. Sorry.
Wow. This is only our 13th episode.
Yeah, we're reverting back to. Well, again, you were gone the first 4.
I came in on the second. 4?
What?
I'm
you were on the
just kidding.
second?
What?
I don't think you were here
I'm really
for...
embarrassed.
I don't think you were here for the second episode.
There was a third one.
Huh? You were here for the third? Yeah. So came in when it was 4 as the co-host.
Yes, officially.
Of the round table.
Yeah.
Lot in store for you today. One is Joni.
Who's Joni? She's really cool, I heard.
Jenny's joke corner, and also
Yes.
her dating book that we're going to get a question out of. Also, finally, Jenny's going to follow through with something she said, because she hasn't followed through on many of her.
But this one from
this
last
one.
year.
Yeah, so it's going to be, Jenny said she would take on any dare, so Taylor dared her to try hot sauce.
So it's not hot sauce, and I kept saying hot sauce, and he had to keep correcting me. Apparently, it was offending him. It's a food additive.
That's hot.
That is hot. So he puts drops of it in his soup, random stuff, maybe sour cream to mild it out.
Okay.
But it's thick additive.
Okay, and you buy this where?
I have no idea. That's a great question. It looks like it was homemade. It looks pretty sketchy. That bottle, Taylor. Yeah. Didn't it look sketchy?
It did look a little sketchy. It doesn't look like anything somebody should eat.
No.
Or put on anything.
I can't wait, though.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to do it at the end because Jenny has decided if she can't do it, or if she does do it, she doesn't want to be miserable the whole podcast.
I don't want to act like I'm not dying.
Right.
Because that's really hard to do. Because I do that when I'm running. I posted this meme the other day. It's Runner's Confession 101. And it was, what is it? Something about when people pass you, you run up and speed up and act like you're not dying.
That's what you do when people
every
are
time,
watching?
Yes.
You don't act like you're tired at all.
No.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with jokes.
Yes. Oh, you are going to be so proud of me this week.
If this has anything to do with the one you told me earlier in the week, it's not funny.
That was funny, though.
No, it wasn't funny. I didn't even get it.
Missed.
Well, no.
Boiling water.
No, here was the funny thing. Tammy got it right. She says, you know why they're funny?
What?
Because they're dumb.
Exactly. But isn't that the part of a joke?
No, it's not. The joke itself's supposed to be funny. Okay, well, let's see how you did.
Dang it, I had this really funny one, but now I forget. It was about the White House.
See, I would have laughed if something about government.
And I know it was super, super stupid. But this is, I got 3 people on this one already. Okay.
And they laughed?
Yes.
Okay, well, we always have our producer who decides whether or not it's laughing or not.
Just trust me on this.
Okay, here we go.
All right. What time did the man go to the dentist?
When?
Tooth hurty. Get it 2:30?
Yeah, I got it.
Tooth is hurting.
Tooth hurty.
Tooth hurting.
Yeah.
No, hurting.
I got it. Tooth hurty.
Oh, you.
Tooth hurting.
Tooth hurting.
Tooth hurting. You got to say it like that because then it says 2:30.
You know how
that's part of the joke, right? That's
I know, but
part of the joke is you're supposed to say it like it's supposed to sound like 2:30.
2:30.
But it's 2:30.
2:30.
Yeah, right.
I just suck. I pronunciate everything, so that's why I can ruin a good thing. All right, next one. What do you call a cheese that is? What do you call a cheese that isn't yours?
What?
Nacho cheese. Yeah, see? That's funny.
No, the funny part was if you're watching to see her head go, nacho cheese. That's the part.
Nacho cheese.
Yeah, that.
Okay, but
that
that's
part
what
was
Tammy
funny.
said.
That part was funny.
Okay, whatever.
Okay.
All right. What do you call 2 octopuses that look exactly the same?
I don't know.
You think you got this one?
I was going to say something, but I don't think I got it.
Just
no,
try.
Go ahead. No,
Just
go ahead.
try.
What is it?
Tentacles. He's laughing. That's funny. That was April 6th. So April 6th is going to be a good day.
Yeah. So that might be a better collection of your jokes than what we've had in the past.
Just let me do one more, because I'm on a roll right now. I should be at stand up. Okay.
Is this White House?
No,
What
I
else?
no, I won't remember that till like after.
Okay.
Okay. Why wouldn't they let Jesus into the jewelry store?
Are you allowed to tell jokes about Jesus?
This is a good one.
It's
It's
not
true.
like sacrilegious or
Heck
anything?
no.
Okay, why
Would you
wouldn't they let
you're
Jesus...
ruining it.
Why wouldn't they let Jesus into the jewelry store?
Because he breaks every chain. Right? That was a good one to
Okay.
end.
You'll give Jenny
Come
some props.
on, mine were
that,
great.
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
This was a good week.
Dating book. Pick one out of there.
Do you want me to pick one or do you
If you're a
want
new listener, this is Jenny's book that she bought for when she goes on dates and conversation gets soft.
Yeah.
This is,
Soft?
like it's not going real well.
Listen, you can go to far deep places with this book.
Okay, well, get
I'm
us
just
one.
telling you. Opens up so many things. Okay, but this, because they have each.
Why are you reading it sideways?
Because I was about to tell you, if you
Oh.
would let me tell you. That sounded like Rayanne this morning. I was like, dang. She does that to me often. Anyways, so each one is like categorized. So this
Okay.
one's Outlook.
Oh,
So this
okay.
one will be really deep.
Okay.
Now I just got to find a great one. Okay. If you were to perform an act of grace, what would it be?
If I was going to perform an act of grace, what would it be?
Yeah, I know. Great question.
No, I know. Now we're going to have to sit here and think about it
I
for
know,
a
and I'm
second.
really bad at thinking on the spot.
Because you don't even have an answer.
I don't. That's why I keep repeating. If you repeat the answer, an interviewer, that buys you time.
What?
I know that you don't ever apply for jobs or anything, but the people that do, when you're getting interviewed, this is a pro tip.
This is a tip on when you're getting interviewed.
Yes, you repeat the question for many reasons.
Okay.
One, it gives you time, and two, it tells the interviewer that you acknowledge what they said and understand it. Masterminding. Bam! That was so good. See what I did there? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again, I think I told you this before. I've never been in a job interview.
I know. That's why I said
In my entire
never
life.
mind to you because you won't need it.
But you've used it before.
I use it all the time.
Did you use it when you interviewed for the Cafe of Hope?
Probably. Courtney, I told Courtney my whole life story pretty much during our interview. It was weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
But she hired you.
I know,
Right?
right?
Look where things have went
It was-
from now.
isn't that crazy?
Act of grace.
Hiring Jenny. That is definitely an act of grace.
Well, I think, again, you could look at it in a couple different ways. I would say most of our interactions with people, you have to apply acts of grace.
Yes.
You know, again, when you're helping somebody to become who God has called them to be, and they don't quite get to where they need to be without naming specific names of certain people that
Are you talking about me?
No, I'm just saying.
I was feeling very
No, I'm just
conflicted.
saying, like, as an example, if somebody you're trying to lead them down a path and they
Yeah.
make a decision that goes in the wrong direction, the act of grace would be is to understand that it's not like they made the decision on purpose to go against what you wanted them to do.
Yeah.
So the act of grace would be is that I get where you're coming from. Let's get back on track. This is what we need you to do. So I would say in most of it, without having this like big, like a go back in 10 years in your history and like this is who I need to forgive or go
Pinpointing.
do something,
Yeah.
you know, like that. That's what I would say.
Okay.
And do you have anything?
I mean, I can come up with something.
No, that's okay.
I think mine would be forgiving people.
Okay.
No, actually, no, because I do forgive people. See, whenever I speak out loud, that's when pieces start to connect, and I'm like, that's not my answer. So then I keep talking like I'm doing right now, trying to make up for it, when I don't have an answer
No,
yet.
you just babble when you don't really know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right.
I already
just
told you
keep
that's my
going.
date talk.
Just keep talking
Yes.
regardless of what you're
Just
saying.
don't stop.
Okay, so
Just
let's
keep going.
So we're good there. Let's talk a little bit
Okay.
about what's going on in Jenny's life. Yeah, talk to us a little bit about what happened this week.
Well-
Did you have a little mishap maybe in
Well.
your? This comes from the person who says she's a professional driver.
When did I say that?
I think that was early on in the podcast, wasn't it, Isaac? Yeah, like
Okay, well, my phone app doesn't lie. I do have a 99 score.
of what?
Driving. Toyota rates you on because they have this app where you can like start your car. Like I could start my car right here, right now from the app, and it tells me every single drive. Like I followed Tammy last night to the volunteer appreciation. I got out of my car and I said, "You just docked my points." 2 points.
Because
She's wild.
Yeah, I mean, because it
Oh
docks
my
your points when you
gosh.
drive fast or what?
Drive fast, harsh to corners, harsh speeding, like
So
accelerating.
she made you accelerate too fast.
Actually, she got 100, but it felt like we were driving like NASCAR. It was so wild. I'm like, dang, I know we're late.
She
but
drove your car?
No, she drove herself, and I was following.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we were late.
So Tammy's a crazy driver?
Yes. Wild. I must be a grandma driver.
Because you got 98%. So
I have a 99.
Okay.
Don't
Yeah.
take away that point.
yeah,
That's
right.
rude.
So let's talk about how that driving
Oh,
went.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Was
well-
Sunday morning?
Yes, it was bright and early. You know, I don't even think the sun came out yet, honestly. I had my
You
car.
weren't sure though. I mean, you don't
No.
really know if the
No.
sun was up or
No,
not.
because
or
I wasn't even looking. I wasn't even paying attention, but I got
yeah,
my
I mean
car.
that's not something somebody notices when they walk outside.
I mean,
whether
who
it's
would?
light. Yeah.
Who would?
I mean, any normal person.
Not
but
really. That's not the first thing you think when you walk outside.
Is it light or not?
No.
Feel like people know when they walk outside if it's light.
I mean-
either way, you're not sure.
Well, I know that it wasn't because I know what time it was, but that's not something I remember about that morning.
Okay, so what do you remember about that
It
morning?
was snowy.
Okay.
It was 7 a.m. past Sunday morning. And what's funny, after this whole thing happened, I go home and my dad's like, you really need to go to church now.
So tell everybody
Yeah.
what happened.
So I'm jamming out, and I think this is the most ironic thing because I'm not listening to like, you know, Pop Lock and Drop It. I'm
Yeah, your
listening,
normal music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, and I'm really grateful that I wasn't. So God gave me grace there.
Yeah, and you were listening to
Ken Walker Smith, Throne Room, which have
Okay.
you heard that song?
probably.
Well, her vocals on it are just
Well, sing a little
no, never.
or any of the words.
No, I can't.
Huh?
So she's like, no, you don't want me to do
Well, no,
either.
just say no. What is some of the words?
But I wish you wouldn't ask me that because I suck at lyrics.
You don't even know
I
the
make
word.
up my own.
It is a great song.
Listen.
I don't really know what it says, but
Well, I know when it comes on.
okay.
It jogs my memory.
Okay,
So I can
got it.
remember. Okay, whatever. That's beside the point. I'm getting off track. So I have my music on, like blaring, probably like a 48, and it's 7 o'clock in the morning.
Out of 50.
No, I don't know how high it goes up to. Probably, I think I've gotten it up to like 57.
Okay.
58.
Anyway, it's loud.
Very loud. Very, very loud. And
Loud enough to drown out.
the backup camera. My dad's like, you have a backup camera for a reason. I was like, well, I don't look at it. I don't want to trust it, which is funny because I could have, I should have trusted it that day.
Or you could have looked in your mirrors because if you don't trust the backup camera, you would look in your mirrors.
But I did look once. That was where I went wrong. I
Okay.
looked one time, and then I just started like thinking, and I would lift my foot off the acceleration or the brake. No acceleration, that one, the right one, and I was just backing up, just going without no motion, just like
Rolling
thinking,
backwards.
thinking about the song, thinking about my day. I don't know what I was thinking about, rolling backwards, and then I bumped into something, and I'm like, well, that's weird. Nothing was back there. When I looked, and it was a parked car who had a bunch of snow on it, so clearly it was back there the whole time. I thought it was a tree at first. I was like, thank goodness.
Did it look like a tree?
At that moment in time, you just can't be too sure of what anything looks like.
Right.
It was
Yeah,
just.
I mean, it's 7
it was
o'clock in the
dark.
morning. Like, it's so
Well,
early.
That is early.
My gosh.
That is so early.
I couldn't sleep last night. So it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I came to work.
Right, and you were scrummaging. Was that a word, scrummaging?
No, I was hungry, so I think I'm gonna go down to the cafe. They got any food around? But
That is so
there was nothing to
funny.
eat either.
Yes,
so
there
I,
is.
I came back up and ate my grapes I packed.
Are you serious?
I did.
There's
I-
like muffins and.
No, I'm not a muffin kind of guy.
Why?
Either way, so you backed
I backed into the car.
Yeah,
And
and decided
okay.
to.
well, my first instinct, I don't know about what yours is. What's your first instinct?
To get out, look at
I
the
did look.
damage
I
of
did.
what happened, try to get a hold of the person that I just backed
But
into.
what if they're
their vehicle.
nowhere to be found and it's that early?
Is that what really went through your
No,
mind?
for
Or was
real.
what went through your mind is, I'm out of here before anybody sees
Initially,
anything?
that was the first thought, and then I went to no, Jenny, you're a changed person. No. So I did get out of the car, and there was a bunch of snow on the car, so you can't really. And my car's white, so that's confusing. The snow's white.
Okay.
I didn't know.
Was his car white?
No, it was like tan.
Okay.
No, it was like gray. Like a
Yeah,
navy
tan and gray, that's close.
It's so close.
No, I know. They look about the
I
same.
know.
If you put tan and
It would be so hard to tell.
yeah,
I know.
tan and gray right beside each other,
Yeah.
I doubt that I could tell the difference between those two cars.
It's a rough life. Trying to tell
Anyway,
the
so you looked
colors.
at it and said there's no damage.
Right. And then I drove away and I got to the stop sign and because it's like a T, or maybe it's not. It's a lowercase T. Just kidding. Because
Either way, you almost got home.
No, but at this point, I did drive around the block and drive back through.
Okay.
So knowing that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm on camera, like going back around, like, because I've been watching a lot of murder stuff. So I'm like, somebody spotted me on camera, and they spotted me definitely looking guilty driving around and driving by slow.
After you just bashed into somebody's car.
Yeah, so I'm thinking this, like, and I'm 2 minutes away from my house. But on the way there, I just had this whole plan. I'm like, Jenny, you're just going to go home, get into bed, like, if anybody asks anything, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to forget it.
Even though it might be on camera, people watching.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things just go away.
I was like, we'll worry about it when it happens. But that was my train of thought, like, back then. Like, I would just be like, oh, I'll just worry about it then. And something came to my mind. I may or may not, this would be a bigger deal than what it should have been for the normal person getting in a hit and run, because it would be my second one. So I'm like, you are a changed person. Like, you can't, like,
this is coming from the professional driver, that this is her second hit and run.
I still stand on that.
Yeah, the first hit and run was she's chased through 3 counties after she hit something.
I did.
But just an FYI to anybody listening.
Which is super impressive. I mean, I was on gravel, and in the police report, it said gravel was just, like, spitting up, like, back at the police car. It's a pretty funny report.
It's super impressive that you were driving through Decatur, ended up in Monroe.
Yes.
Through 3 counties, got arrested.
Country, I don't even know where I was.
Okay.
This guy almost, like, pulled out in front of me, and he was, like, waving his hands for me to stop. So one of the pedestrians... I had to swerve.
Yeah.
Well, I was looking for my phone because I didn't know where I was. So I was trying to get my GPS on. But my phone...
As the police are chasing you.
Right.
Yeah.
But when I hit the person, my phone flew. And
you hit the person? You hit a person? Did you just say you hit somebody?
No.
Is that a part of the story that nobody knows?
But that did happen in, like, 2012.
You hit somebody.
I hit somebody that hit somebody on a bike.
Listen. Anybody that believes that Jenny is a professional driver.
That was a different time in my life.
Okay, now, different time of your life. So now you back into a guy's car.
Yeah, so then...
You get a guilty conscience.
For sure, yeah.
Thinking that it's not a good idea to walk away. You better go back. So you went back.
I went back, and I left a note.
Okay. And what'd you find out?
And then he called me the next day, and I was like, I was like sick the whole day about it, and I'm like waiting for him to call me, and then he calls me. I'm like, no, I woke up the next day. I'm like, dang, it was a good day. I didn't even.
You didn't get a call, no problem.
I was like,
the past
all right.
is going.
I was like, you did the right thing, so God's rewarding you. And then he calls me when I'm at work. And left me a voicemail and was like, yeah, so I went to Pearson's. Well, he tells me who he is, and I'm like, great, I do business with him. And then he's like, it's $1,000. I'm like, there's no way. I just bumped it. It was like a bumper car.
Yeah, right. I mean, you just rolled backwards, $1,000 worth of damage.
I barely did any. I just a paint chip off of my car. Literally a paint chip.
A brand new car.
Yes, they're gonna.
Your brand new car.
Yeah, they're gonna paint it today.
Yeah.
Well, I need to take a picture of it first for insurance reasons, but
right.
Yeah.
And you got to figure out how to pay his $1,000 bill.
I can't worry about that. That's my insurance job. Apparently, I don't have a deductible.
Huh?
Yeah, I know. Confusing, right?
You don't have any deductible.
That's what she said.
Well, that's impressive.
That's
pretty good insurance then.
I think it's a lie.
Huh?
I don't really know what's going on, but that was
Either way, you'll get the bill in the mail.
No, I won't get like anything until reinstated. Like when I get reinstated, that's when my rates will go up.
Reinstated? Like you lost your insurance?
No. Oh, I don't know.
Did they say reinstated?
I think so. Isn't that like when you reinstate for the next 6 months? Don't give me an anxiety attack. I have my inhaler. What?
No, when they reinstate me.
Well, I don't know what she said. She said something when I do my next thing for my next time.
Oh, okay. When you re-up your insurance again.
Sure. Yeah, that's when...
That's
so
when
in
your
like 4
rates
months,
will go up.
Yeah, it'll go up then.
Okay.
So we can't worry about it till then.
No, right. It's nothing to, I mean,
I'll
just
have money
wait.
saved
it'll
by
be
then.
double, but it's not a big deal.
Double? You really think so?
Huh? Well, I don't know.
Don't. You're making me nervous. I can't.
At least you have it. I mean, hopefully you still have insurance. That's the big deal, right?
Right. And the first time that happened, I did not have insurance.
The time you were fleeing the police,
yes.
you had no insurance.
Yes. I think that's, again, why I didn't stop either. And maybe my license was suspended. Who knows? It's hard. No, because I would have went to jail that day. No.
Okay, so your license wasn't suspended, but you didn't have any insurance.
Correct.
And
I never had
you were fleeing
insurance.
authorities through 3 counties.
Listen.
And you might have hit a person, might not have hit a person, but...
That time, no, I did not.
No,
I know that for sure.
Not this time.
I know that for sure. No, this is the longest I've ever had insurance in my life.
Really?
Yes. So the longest that I've ever had it before is like 2 months.
Okay.
Consecutively.
setting your goals.
I know, right?
Look at you.
I know. I'm so proud of myself.
All right, so let's talk about the series that we're in.
Yeah.
So Mastermind, the series that we've been doing here at Life Church, talking about the ideas that what you think on drives the actions of your life. There's a war for your mind. We gave Jenny a challenge. She didn't take the challenge.
How do you know that?
Because you said it the last week.
Okay, but last week, but you don't know this week.
Okay, did you do it this week?
Honestly, I forget what the challenge was.
So the challenge was
reading your Bible.
No, that wasn't the challenge. No,
that was one of them.
Well, it might have been. Yeah,
that was one.
Yeah, we're piling up the challenges on you.
That is stressful.
Yeah, so you just got to. We're seeing what she's following through with or not. Which we went back. No, that was the. Remember the New Year's resolution? Like you were going to put lotion on your body, and you were doing it 90% of the time.
Yeah.
And then I said, "How are you doing with your spiritual goals?"
No, I remember.
And you're like 10%, and you moved up to like 20%.
Right now it's 27.
This last week, so now you're at 27%.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting there. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going up.
Yes.
The other challenge we said is wherever our undivided attention is, what we're thinking about, tends to change the way we think. We brought up the great hack. Was that last week we talked about that? Yeah. So it's essentially mind manipulation through social media. So we said, you have the opinion you're not addicted to social media. So I said, well, if you're not, just take a week off. And then see if, like, oh, man, I really wish I was on it. And we could kind of get an idea where people at with the whole addicted to their phone type of thing. But Jenny didn't do that challenge. But the idea is the same concept, right? Is wherever our undivided attention is, they're trying to get us to think a certain way. If they get us to think a certain way, then we'll have actions.
Sure.
Paul tells us, learn to dwell on the right things. If you dwell on the right things, then it'll set your course or your path in the right way. That was the other part that we had talked about. That's why we read our Bible. That's why we look at it, to dwell on the right things.
Yep.
This week, again, we're looking at reframing. So reframing the idea of thoughts. And I think this is good for you to speak into this because challenges of life, right? So what Paul's going to talk about is he had a dream for his life. Right? He wanted to go to Rome. And in going to Rome, he wanted to preach the gospel because he believed that if he preached the gospel in Rome, it would spread faster than anywhere else that he had spread the gospel. So he had this dream, but life just didn't turn out the way that it was supposed to. So he ended up going to Rome, but he ended up going in prison.
Yeah.
And so in your life, I think this is an interesting topic for you to help us think about. Is like, so when you think through the journey of your life, and you've I think admittedly had some like disappointments. Is that the right word? Like you had a dream for your life and it didn't quite turn out the way it was supposed to.
Yeah, you even said that. Like when you look at your life now, it would have never been, or what you've been through, you would have never pictured that.
Right.
I never saw myself as what I turned out to. I mean, not today, but like in the past.
Right.
Never saw myself going through that.
Yeah. So when you were young, I mean, what did you dream about?
I definitely didn't dream of being a heroin addict. So, but
have you shared that part of your story? I mean, I know that we've said like you've been, but when did that start? Were you in high school?
No.
Okay.
No, I only drank when I was in high school.
Okay.
It didn't start till I moved to Indy. So when I was 20.
Okay, so it started afterwards. But again, when you pictured what you wanted to do in life, and then you get into, in the midst of your heroin addiction and your drug addiction, did you ever be like, how did I ever end up here?
Yeah, all the time.
Did you?
Yeah. But what I used to want to do is similar to like because I've always wanted to speak. That's always been a passion of mine, like even from young. Like I knew I've always had a voice for something.
Okay.
And I think it's pretty neat, even though what I went through was specifically to help other people. And like I could be a voice and I could go, because that's what, I want to do.
Right.
It's just what I wanted to do is turned into something completely different that I never imagined.
Okay. So even before your heroin addiction, you had this idea like, I want to be a voice in the life of girls, want to be in the life of people, and you want to be that voice. But then
it was more selfish at that time.
Meaning?
Like I wanted to be like acting or, just
okay.
all about me and
Right.
not for God. So I think it's cool how like I still want to do what I originally wanted to do, but it's completely like what I went through has completely changed my outlook on who I'm doing it for.
Right.
Like it was never for God then. It was all about Jenny.
Right.
And things have changed because of what I went through. That's why I think what you go through is so important.
Yeah, and so with that, the whole reframing process. So when somebody has a dream for their life or want to turn out a certain way, and then circumstances of life don't go the right way, what Paul's going to talk about is this is really a pivotal point for a lot of people in where they believe in God, right? Or what they think about God is because they had this plan. For whatever reason, you ended up being a heroin addict. It's not what you planned. You ended up doing it. Did you ever come to the place where you're like, where's God in the midst of all of this?
All the time.
Really? Like you found yourself like, why isn't God helping me? Or why isn't he?
Why me? Yeah.
You did.
Why is he letting this happen? Oh, yeah, all the time.
Okay, so you saw it too. Is like what Paul would say is when people get to that place, a lot of times, even though they want to go closer to God, it tends to push them away. You know, the circumstances of life, you know, for whatever reason, pushes them away. And we would say is that part of the reason is that we were probably sold the wrong gospel, maybe when you're younger, because the gospel of saying, hey, if you become a Christian, life is good. Everything's going to turn out the way it's supposed to be. You know, you're going to be healthy, wealthy. Everything's going to prosper. Everything's going to be right. And then all of a sudden, and then you bought into it. And then the next thing you know, you go to Indianapolis, you end up on. And did you tell this? Like, were you taking drugs before heroin, or is it just like heroin and that's?
I was like dabbling around in other things, but.
Okay. So something led into the heroin.
So most people that I've known have gotten on it from like pain pills.
Oh, okay.
But no, it was nothing like that before. It was just like smoking weed, and then I just met somebody.
Okay, and that's
sold
somebody.
it.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, but then life goes in a different direction, and so Paul would say, "Well, you need to understand this. The only thing guaranteed inside of Scripture is you're going to have trouble.
Yeah.
Right. Like life is going to be full of challenges." Life is going to be full of obstacles. How we respond to those obstacles will determine where we end up in our faith.
Right.
Right. And so for you, because that wasn't really the way you framed life, right? Like you framed life in a way that if I do everything right, things should go right, things should be good, and everything should be good. So because of that process, it somewhat derailed your faith.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's a message we need to talk to people about is because if you haven't experienced hardship yet, like if you haven't been through anything yet, if you haven't experienced what loss is, if you haven't experienced hurt, it's coming.
Yeah, especially loss too. Because that's where it started for me when I lost my grandma. That's where the questioning God came from.
Okay.
Like, why would he let this happen to somebody so nice and who loved the Lord, and it just didn't make sense.
Right, because regardless of how old somebody is, when we lose somebody, it doesn't really matter. We're still losing somebody.
Right.
You know, in that process. And so Paul, in writing to the Philippians, was writing with that in mind. Like, there's going to be obstacles. Let me tell you how I've reframed my thinking to make it possible for people who are you are going to go through hardships, that you're able to go through these hardships in a way that makes sense. So I'm going to read it. So this is going to be Philippians 1. This is what we talked about on Sunday. So Philippians 1, starting in verse 12, he says, "Now I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that what has happened to me has actually served to advance the gospel. As a result, it's become clear throughout the whole palace guard and to everyone else that I am in chains for Christ. And because of my chains, most of the brothers and sisters have become confident in the Lord and dare all the more to proclaim the gospel." So what we talked about in the beginning, part of the reason that Paul could endure circumstances of life is because he had purpose.
Yeah.
Right? So his purpose in life was
to tell everybody about Jesus.
Yeah, share the gospel, right? And he knew that if he was going to do that, the most important thing in his life wasn't always being healthy. The most important thing wasn't always being wealthy. The most important thing wasn't always having comfort. The most important thing wasn't always having a stable job. The most important thing to him was
sharing the word.
Yeah, sharing the gospel. Yeah. And so he's saying, you can do this as long as you don't forget your purpose, because whatever circumstance comes to you, you need to recognize, what your purpose is. And then we talked about this idea of why is there obstacles? So if you think about that, wouldn't it be easier if there wasn't any obstacles in life?
Oh, yeah.
So what do we do with obstacles? So I shared a story, Isaac, who's been real committed and wanting me to work out, and
he's going hard.
I know, and I am not committed, and I'm not working out, but he wanted me to do the Spartan race with him.
Yeah, but you're going to.
Huh?
You're going to. It's just going to take you a minute to talk yourself into it.
Well, no. So after the message, Daryl Dorsett's like, "Hey," and this was so cool. Like, I can't even believe you did this. He's like, "Listen, if it will help, I'll do it with you."
Aw,
isn't that cool?
That's so sweet.
But I'm like,
Will it help?
well,
Truth here.
well, here's
will
the
it help?
crazy thing is, I'm like, Daryl's in shape. Have you ever seen Daryl Dorsett?
I'm sure if I saw him, I would notice.
He doesn't look like
remember.
me. That's for sure.
Okay, but you work on a farm.
No, I know, but I'm not. Daryl Dorsett could probably go out and run 2 miles today and wouldn't affect him.
Okay, it's
If
just
I
a
go out there,
5K.
what?
It's only a 5K.
Is it really only? It's a 10K.
It's only 10K. That's only 6 miles.
6 miles.
That's nothing.
With obstacles.
Yes.
Right. So we talked about this.
Don't
So,
think about the obstacles. One thing at a time.
Yeah. You know what Rayanne said afterwards?
What?
Well, you don't have to go through the obstacles. You just have to do burpees if you don't do it. I'm like,
Really?
I'm not doing a burpee.
What,
Is that
to
really
run?
true, Isaac?
To run 30 burpees, that's it?
I'm not doing 30 burpees.
Wait, 30 burpees or running 6 miles?
No, when you come to an obstacle and you can't do it,
Then you have to do 30
you do,
burpees.
and then you can go by the obstacle.
Oh.
I'm not doing burpees.
That's not
When
bad.
Rayanne puts that stupid thing on the workouts, when Isaac and I
Burpees.
were working out and there's burpees, I'm like, you might as well replace them. I'm not doing them.
Burpees used to be my favorite.
No, this body's not made to do that. I'm not getting down there and getting back up and jumping up in the air.
It's so fun.
No,
It's
it
like,
might be fun for real agile
brutal.
people, so they watch a guy like Isaac do it, and it's really graceful because he's just like gets down and pushes himself.
Yeah.
For me, it's like you hit
You
the
hit
turf
the
and you
floor.
come up with all the granules in your mouth
they're
because
called turf turds.
whatever. But you put
have
your
turf
face in it
turds
because you're like
in your-
you're going down. And you're like and then you're
Oh
like
my
you don't just
gosh.
push yourself back up. You're kind of like crawling.
You're stuck.
Oh, it's
You can
terrible.
do you can do like a like how they have women push-ups.
Yeah, like a girl burpee.
Yeah, you can do a girl burpee.
Yeah.
Why?
I've already told you this. You know one of the most embarrassing moments of working out at Champs
getting
was?
turf turds on your beard because that's
No, that
super
was-
embarrassing.
No, that was not the
I
most
never thought
embarrassing.
about that.
So we were working out one time, and we're like, I wonder what weight to use. And so Isaac obviously can use whatever, and I'm like, I'm not really sure what weight to use. And so Rand looks at me, she says,
Yeah.
well, Gia Reed uses, and I'm like,
Gia is the
Gia
exception.
Reed is a girl. I am a guy. That should
Oh my
not.
gosh, you were
What?
mad?
I was more than a. It's embarrassing.
That was insulting, Rayanne.
Huh?
That was. She doesn't even watch it.
I know. Why don't you?
Rude.
Seriously, I can't believe she doesn't watch our podcast.
So that means we can talk about her.
But when she says, "Well, Gia Reed does I think
you
it's
should be able
kettlebell swings
to.
or something," I'm like, okay, I'm completely embarrassed that I've now been compared to a girl. And well, this is what the girls do. Surely
Couldn't
you'd be
lift
able to
it,
do
could
it.
you? You couldn't at all.
I did it.
No.
I did too. I do the kettlebell swings.
It was
I
a kettlebell
did.
swing.
Kettlebell
That's
swings.
it.
Shut up! I was trying to decide which kettlebell to use.
With a pink one.
No, I wasn't
one
using.
or
It
the
was the
blue?
big green ones.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and Gia used the big green ones.
She
She's like, "Oh,
does.
Gia does it. Surely you can
It's
do it."
only
I'm like, well,
35 pounds.
what? Listen, here's my point. So when Daryl says that, first of all,
Yeah.
it was cool because Daryl's been a great friend. He reaches out, we
Go
talk.
Daryl.
Yeah, I mean, I love his support, friendship.
Go
There you go.
Daryl.
Daryl.
Taking one for the team.
Helping. You know what I told Sherry, though? I
What?
said, you know what also is hard for me? To think that I'm going to be the fat guy that people have to encourage.
You don't know that.
Come on, Mike. You can make it up. A little more.
I've been that person.
You can make it over the obstacle.
Yes.
Just one more step.
Yeah.
One foot in front of the other. I'm
You
like,
know you're that person
I don't
with
want to be.
everybody.
I don't want to be that guy.
It's not that bad though. You just
I
gotta
don't
embrace
wanna
it.
be that
There's
guy.
like a personal cheerleading team.
Huh? I
It's
don't
like,
want a cheerleading
why?
team.
I'm just telling
because
you.
I am embarrassed that somebody would have to cheer me through.
Well, maybe you need to work through that.
Yeah,
There's
I think
something
I have
else
some pride
deeper going on
issues.
with
No,
that.
I get some pride issues that go with it.
There we go. It's coming to the surface.
Yeah, I listen. There's no doubt that I have some pride, and the idea that Daryl. Again, I love Daryl and that he'll do that.
Go Daryl.
But I'm like embarrassed that Daryl would have to be. Come on, Mike. I'll run right beside you, even if I have to walk.
Okay.
I'll walk with you.
Well,
I'm
that's
like,
why you have to train for the obstacle, like you said in your sermon.
Yeah, so the point would
I
be
did
is so we
watch.
said, listen, here's the idea. Like if Isaac went out and trained on a straight path on the pavement, then he showed up and there were a ton of obstacles, he'd be like, wait a second, this is not what I trained for. Give me the straight road, don't give me the obstacles.
Just do the burpees.
So the idea would be is same concept of what Paul's saying. So Paul's saying, listen, at the end of the day, you need to know there are obstacles in life. And here's the big point, don't go around them. And you've talked about this,
Yeah.
and I think this is really important. There, whether you like it or not, the obstacles that you've been through and that you've went through in your life, you going through them is for somebody else, right?
For
Because,
sure.
yeah, I mean, you have your own race and you have your own obstacles. And those obstacles are, the things that God has allowed to happen in your life, and you've went through them. And the reason is somewhere on your road, maybe it's happened already, or somebody on your path needs for you to be that person. Like, I've been through it. Like, do you have any stories like that of like where you've helped people journey, or that's part of your passion, right? You want to help people do those things.
There's been a lot of different times, but mainly, especially like working at Place of Grace, because I've been in their shoes. I know what's going on, so it's very easy for me to come up with different scenarios with that. There have been certain instances here at the church, working at the cafe with the younger women.
And you can help them see the other side of the obstacles.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and help them, again, as they're going through it, let them know that it doesn't do us any good to go around them, which I think too many people in life do.
Yeah.
Like, here's a challenge in life. I don't want a challenge. I want to go the easy path. But then we're not prepared, like God, because the challenges Scripture tells us is all to build our faith, right? It's to give us what we need so that when that next thing happens or that person comes into our life, we can help them, right?
So I read this book, and it was about exactly like this. Like, if you go around an obstacle, God will always somehow bring the obstacle back to you, but maybe in a different way, but it always comes back.
Right.
And that's so true, because after reading that, then I thought about my own life, and it was like the same things kept happening, but in a different way.
Right.
And then I have a quote that I want to say that's all it's on the top of my head.
Okay.
So, grow through what you go through. I love that one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Grow through what you go through.
I know, it's a tongue twister too.
No, it's awesome.
I love tongue twisters.
Yeah, that's great advice. And again, we grow through it so that when you see somebody else stuck at the obstacle, looking up there, thinking, I don't know if there's any way I can get through it, you can help them navigate that path. And that's what Paul was helping us realize inside of this. Don't go around the obstacles. I need you to go through them. Know that they're going to be there. Train for them. Be ready for them. They're coming in your life. And then the other part is, which was interesting, because strategically Paul wanted to reach certain people because he knew certain people would spread the gospel more than others, right? They just had more influence. So one of the people that they talked about was the Praetorian Guard, or the Palace Guard. And the reason they wanted to reach the Palace Guard was because you served in the military for like 10 years. If you were in the Praetorian Guard, which was the high guard at the time, and you got out after your 10 years, you were given a big severance or a retirement, and then they put you in influential places all over Rome or in other places, and so you would have money and you would have influence.
Yeah.
So Paul's like, as he wanted to go to Rome, before he knew this was going to happen, he's like, if we could reach the Praetorian Guard, when they go out then and they are in these communities, they'll have so much influence with people.
Before he was locked up, this happened? So he had already known that?
He had already known. Like, there was this idea. So when they went into it, they knew culture, right? Like when Paul went into Ephesus or he went into Galatia, or when he went into Philippi, he knew like what the culture was, and he knew that if he reached a certain group or culture, so they were very specific, that influence would then make it grow. So he knew when he went to Rome, it's not just about reaching Roman citizens, it's about reaching the Praetorian Guard. Like, if there was going to be a way, like if he didn't get locked up, he would have thought, how could I preach to him? Like, how can I get the message to these people?
That is so cool.
Yeah,
I never knew that.
Yeah, and so they were trying to figure out strategic ways to do it. Well, crazy, he ends up in chains. And so this is the way it was then. So back then, if you were a high-valued prisoner, you just didn't sit in your cell by yourself. You sat in a cell chained to the Praetorian Guard.
I would love that. That would be so much better.
To be chained to somebody?
Yes.
Because you didn't like sitting alone in the jail cell?
That's awful.
So think about this. So for 8 hours every day, Paul was chained to the Praetorian Guard. And then every 8 hours, they changed their shift. So then it was another guy and another guy and another guy. And so however many people for 2 years were chained to Paul. And that's why it says in Scripture that the palace guard, because he was in chains, heard and received the gospel. And because of that, the gospel spread all over Rome, because in his chains, waiting for his execution, he took advantage of the opportunities, right? Regardless if he was locked up.
And his circumstances, like what person chained to somebody else that's like saying all the things that Paul was probably saying, you'd be like, this guy's got to be crazy, or this has got to be true.
Right. Well, and I think the big thing that we talked about is don't miss your opportunities. So many people are like,
that was what it was.
Yeah.
No, that was the it's all coming back to me. That was the goal, or not the goal, but the challenge.
Right. Is don't miss your opportunity.
Yes, I didn't have any opportunities though. I did. I had an opportunity to turn back, and I sure did.
Yeah. So but the point would be is like a lot of people are like, well, once I finally get married, or once I finally get a girlfriend, or once I finally get a house, or once I finally get the right job, or once I finally make enough money, or then I'll do these things. And so he's saying, Jenny, in the position that you're in today, I have you here for a reason. Don't miss the opportunity. You know, don't always be looking for the next thing. And don't you think that's true with people? Like they're always looking for what's next instead of like, I'm here regardless of whether I like it. Because, I mean, you can't convince me that Paul was like, oh, I'm so happy to be in chains. You know, but he said, but because I'm in chains,
might as well.
This is the opportunity that I'm going to take. And so I think, you know, as you look at people, don't you see some of the same things where people are like, oh, if I just had a different job, or if I had more opportunities, you know, to do it.
This whole world is into a what can I do next, like, mindset. Whereas, like, if they're not happy now, then they're going to, what can I do next?
Right.
Kind of a thing.
Right. And waiting. Waiting for the right opportunity to be able to serve God, or the right opportunity. Yeah. Or the right opportunity. And he's saying, well, the opportunity is right here. You know, nobody is in the place that they are today without God knowing it and without God providing opportunities. So our challenge would be to people is look up, right? Look around. God is giving opportunities. Don't miss your opportunity. Then, this is the other cool part. So then at the end of it, it says, because he did all of those things, other people were emboldened, right? They looked at their life and like, if Paul can preach the gospel in chains, in a jail cell to reach the Praetorian Guard, we should do the same thing.
YouTube, podcasts. We have so many opportunities. Facebook.
Right. But remember, there are a lot of people that are like, well, I don't know about sharing the gospel. What might happen to me, or what might people think? Right. I mean, they're like,
might unfriend me.
Right. Whatever those things are. In fact, we talked about this in small group on Monday night. So the men's small group on Monday night, and we were talking about how God wants, or Jesus wants, a relationship with us. So what's that relationship look like? So I said, well, compare it to your girlfriend or compare it to your wife, you know. And I said, if anybody's asking me, in fact, I said this last night. I walked in, well, first of all, did a funeral yesterday, driving home, my truck broke down. So,
oh my gosh.
So I'm sitting there in my suit and tie, had to be back up for the volunteer appreciation dinner.
Yeah.
Right. And so I call a tow truck. I'm like, can you just pick me up and drop me off at my house, you know, so that I can get ready to go. So anyway, go running upstairs. Sherry's getting ready. I'm like, you are gorgeous. I'm like, I have no idea, because I told this. We heard me tell the story this morning.
Oh, I didn't hear the beginning part of it. I was wondering who you were talking to.
No, so I was, you know, Cherry, you are
tell this story.
Gorgeous, you know. And I said, you know, I don't even know how. I mean, you're 2 years older than me, and you look
Is she really?
20 years younger than me.
Is she really?
Yeah. So I'm like, you're beautiful. And I said, you want to know about the story for me today? So this is what happened to me. So I go over to the funeral, right? And I go through the line. I don't even know if Isaac's heard this story. So I go over through the line. I go through the line to the mom who, Nick, you know, died, and go to the mom and me and Pam Heckber. Now, Pam's old enough to be my mom.
Yeah.
Okay. We walk up there. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, you know. And she's like, oh, Pastor Mike, so thankful that you came and you're doing the funeral today. And looked over at Pam and it's like, oh, is this the missus? And I'm like, that's not my wife.
Oh my gosh! Do you
she's old enough to
that?
be. She's old enough to be my mom. No, I'm thinking all of these things. I'm like, what do I look like? Do I look that old that Pam could be my wife?
I mean, you're getting turf turds in your beard, so.
And I have completely gray hair.
Oh, see, now you're
gray
letting...
hair, beard. I mean, come on.
You're being mean to yourself.
Anyway, so.
You're letting the one thought dwell into all of these thoughts.
No, listen. So here's what I say now. So if somebody ever asks me about my wife, I'm telling them, like, she's gorgeous, she's awesome, she's beautiful. I mean, I'm proud of my relationship, of my beautiful wife. Mm-hmm. How many times in relationship with Jesus Christ are we like, he is awesome and he's beautiful and he's incredible and you should get to know? Because I tell everybody, you should know Sherry. Yeah. She's awesome, you know, and if you got to know her, she's an incredible person. Like, I would tell anybody about her, right? And I'm not ashamed of it.
Yeah.
In here, what he's saying is that we're in relationship with Christ, but are we ashamed to talk about how beautiful he is and how wonderful he is and how you should meet him? And like, why wouldn't we, if we love him, why wouldn't we be like, dude,
people to meet him.
Yeah, like you need to meet him.
Yeah.
Like he's the best. And I think what Paul was trying to say is like, you should want to share about your relationship with Christ. And I've proven to you that you can do it inside of a jail cell. You should be emboldened, whatever it costs you, you know, because it really doesn't matter to me if somebody be like, well, Sherry's this. I'm like, I'm still going to tell you, you know, I'm still going to tell you. She's beautiful. She's awesome. This is what she means. I don't care about your opinion.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, this is who she is, and you should get to know her.
Yeah.
So sometimes we don't want to share because we're worried about, well, what'd somebody else's opinion be, or what would they think of it? Well, if you're in relationship with somebody you love, like if you had a boyfriend that you were proud of, right, and he's awesome, would you be like, I don't really want to tell anybody about him?
No.
No, you would share it with everybody, right?
Yeah.
You'd pull out your phone, look at like you
Just
do with your dog.
I knew we were going to bring this up.
Just like you do with your
He's
dog. Like,
cute, and
look,
you said
like
he's
he's
ugly.
awesome, and you share all the pictures. But when it comes to Jesus, why don't people do the same thing?
I think they do in the beginning, like, you know, in the very beginning of that excitement. You're just getting to know him, and you do, and then it fades. Maybe it's not like that for everybody, but because it's new and exciting, and then life happens.
Right. So our advice again. So we're going to end it up. So our
Is it time?
Yeah. So we got to do the challenge here at the end, right? So we got to be able to do the challenge.
I forgot.
No, we're
I'm
not
nervous.
forgetting about the challenge.
Woo, I'm so nervous.
So you get that ready. We're going to end up. So scripture-wise, this is what we talked about. Make sure that we're on the same page. When we come to mastermind, reframe your thinking. Know that there are challenges and things out there that we need to take on, and that we need to understand. There's going to be obstacles in life, and that we need to be able to go through those obstacles. And remember that we should be again continually going down the road of sharing Christ and be emboldened with who we share. So again, we just want to keep encouraging you. Come back next week. We're going to be, if you haven't come on a Sunday morning, we'd love for you to come on a Sunday morning and listen to what we have to say. We're finishing up the Mastermind series this week, but we'll be talking about it again on our podcast. So are you ready for this, Jenny?
I think so. These are some really intense gloves.
So these are food coloring. Here, give me your cracker, so I'll get your cracker. I'm not touching that stuff.
I know, but I did have it on me. Oh my gosh, normally I prepare for this mentally, but I was so into our conversation that I forgot.
Yeah, so be prepared.
Oh my gosh, my heart is racing so fast.
So if everybody wants to see,
my heart rate's at 81. It's just 84.
Here's what it looks like.
Oh, my heart
There's
rate's going up
no
so
possible
fast.
way that I would ever do this, but are you putting a little drop on?
Are you doing it?
I don't want to touch
I'm
it.
shaky.
I'm not touching it.
I have the gloves on. Okay.
So she's pouring it onto a cracker.
Oh my gosh, hold on.
Now it's got to just be like a
Can you
little
see it?
dribble, right?
I don't know, but I'm
You
shaky.
don't put too much on it because I'm not reviving
Do you
you.
think I'll die?
Stop!
Oh!
Judas,
Should
that's
I?
gonna be, huh?
Should I or should I not?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, look how dark it is. It's staining the cracker.
Well, maybe
Should I just lick it?
Huh?
What?
Just lick it?
Oh, just dare me. Just dare me. Just do it.
Well, you've been dared.
That's right.
Okay, now listen, do you have experience with this?
No.
Like hot stuff?
Yes, with hot stuff.
Okay,
Trust me, I know.
it's leaking through.
Oh my god.
She's now put the cracker in her mouth. Don't eat any more of it.
Why? Oh.
Because I don't want Isaac's gonna
Oh my god.
Isaac is gonna be the one to fix you because I'm not fixing you afterwards.
Woo! Normally it takes a minute. Oh, I need to go home.
Didn't take a minute.
Oh my gosh, it's still on my thing.
Well, turn your
Will you
gloves
do it
inside
with
out.
me, please?
No, turn your gloves
Please.
inside out.
Please.
No, turn your gloves inside out.
Please
I'm
do it
not.
with me.
No, I am never touching that
Oh,
stuff
that's
ever.
sick.
So Taylor Petrie's the one who made the
Oh my
dare.
gosh,
If anybody else, Jenny looks bad right now. So anybody wants to try Taylor's special sauce, you can try the special sauce.
I need a tissue.
At some point.
Dude, I feel
Okay.
like I'm about to throw up.
Okay. Before we get to that point, we're gonna end.
I really regret this.
We're gonna. She's crying. We're gonna end our podcast. Thanks everybody for being with us on the round table.
I'm
we'll see you
mad.
guys
I'm really
next
mad right
week.
now.
All right. See ya.